Hi everyone, how are you? This is Alyssa. I know it's been a really long time, but I really wanted to get back to this, and now that I've been home since I think March 14th now, I really have no excuses to not check in and just see how everyone is doing at the very least. So first of all, I just want to say that I hope everyone is well and that everyone is safe and everyone's family and friends are okay. This has been a really chaotic 2 weeks. I feel like everything is going in such slow motion that I don't feel like we're going in real time at all. So a lot of people have been saying, wow, you must be watching so many movies, but I really haven't been because I've been so involved in getting the house set up and being able to know what was going on in the world everywhere. And so I really hope that everyone is okay. So this is obviously a new setup. I kind of changed the other room so I wasn't able to set up the way I normally did. And my camera is not working right now, so I'm using the iPhone, so I'm not sure how well this is actually going to come out, but I thought something is better than nothing, so I would rather just do it and then I can fix things later. So I thought, I've seen a lot of videos where people are saying there are things on Netflix and here are movies you can watch there, things on Prime and you can watch this there, but there is this other streaming app, and forgive me because I believe that it really is just in America, and I know that there are a lot of people who probably won't have access to this, although you obviously would have access to these movies in some way or another. So the app is called Kanopy, and what's amazing about it is that you don't pay for it. It is through your library. So all you really need is a library card, so it's just another reason for you to actually have a library card, and once you have it, you can sign up for Kanopy with that information. You get 10 rentals for free per month, and right now they're doing 20 because of everything that is going on with COVID-19. They want people to be able to see real films, and that's what makes this streaming service a little bit different, is that it really is films that you get to watch. I think their tagline is something like thoughtful cinema, something like that. So it really will only give you options for things that you're going to love and that aren't kind of blow them up movies, which that also has a time and place, and I would love to make videos about that too. So the first thing I thought is maybe we should all choose a movie that we would like to watch, and then we'll vote, and whichever movie gets the most votes, then that could be the film that we actually all watch together. We could get like a week to watch it, and then I can give my review, but then we could have a discussion about that movie in the comments. I thought that would be something fun for everyone to do. So I'll start first with the movies that I have wanted to see that are on Kanopy that I have not yet gotten to see. So the first one is Jules and Jim, which of course is the French classic, and I've seen so many French films, but I've actually never seen this one. I always wanted to, and it is available on Kanopy. So that's the first one. The second one, I am very embarrassed to say that I've never seen Life Itself, which is the Roger Ebert documentary. Roger Ebert always has been, always will be my very favorite critic. I felt like he had such a great connection to people and such a love for cinema, and it always came out in his reviews. So I just always wanted to see his documentary, and I never got around to seeing it. It was on Netflix for a little bit, and then it left before I got the chance. So that's the second option. The third one is the South Korean film Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. I've definitely been trying to watch more South Korean cinema ever since Parasite. So this was one that got very good reviews that I had always wanted to see. The next thing is a film called Paradise Hills. Didn't get a lot of momentum, but the premise is really interesting. It's a bunch of girls who go to this boarding school and they get taught etiquette and they have to change themselves in some way, and it seems sort of fantasy-esque. So that was the other option. And then two more, Hunt for the Wilder People. So I've seen everything from Taika Waititi except for this film, and I've heard from multiple people that it's really, really funny and I have to watch it. So that's another option. And then the last one is the Swedish film Force Majeure, and that is the film that I think it just came out pretty recently, Downhill, with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell. That movie didn't get such good reviews, but it's based on the Swedish film that did get very good reviews, and that is about a husband who doesn't help his family during an avalanche, and he basically shows his stripes and that he's not there for his family. So those are the, is that six? Yeah, 6 movies that I was thinking we could all vote on, pick one of them, and then if you want to, then you could watch and you'd be able to see what I thought about the movie, but then we could talk about what you guys thought also. So that would be Jules and Jim, Life Itself, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Paradise Hills, Hunt for the Wilder People, and Force Majeure. So those will be our options. So now I wanted to get to what I thought were the top 15 offerings of what they have right now on Kanopy. Obviously, some of these films you can see on different streaming platforms, and wherever I knew it was playing somewhere, I just tried to say it so that you guys would know other places where you could see the film. But first, I have to start with Midsummer because that was my second favorite film from last year. My favorite film from last year was The Lighthouse, which I know is a very controversial movie to say that's your favorite one, because there are people who I feel like either they love it or they hate it. One of my best friends, oh, she hated that movie. But she said, but I understood why you liked it. So I'm not sure if that was a compliment or what, but that was my favorite. But Midsummer, second favorite movie. It's playing also on Amazon Prime. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it by this point, but if you haven't seen it, it is a must-do. Florence Pugh is amazing in this film. She's amazing in everything that she's in. She's actually somewhere else on this list, so we'll see that coming up. The second movie, and I saw this pretty recently, was called Mickey and the Bear. That I can't find anywhere else streaming, and it has kind of a feeling of Winter's Bones, where this girl is taking care of her father. Her father's a drug addict. They're sort of in the middle of nowhere. She has an opportunity to get out, and then you have to see whether she takes that chance or not. The third is also a Florence Pugh film, so Lady Macbeth. You can also see that on Amazon Prime if you don't have access to Kanopy, and she is just wild in this movie. I mean, just to see her 2 different performances in Midsummer and then see Lady Macbeth, and you know that she is definitely one of the best working actresses right now in Hollywood, so I absolutely love her. The next is Into the Forest, which stars Evan Rachel Woods, I always mess that up, and Ellen Page and their sisters during an apocalypse, so it could be the kind of movie that would be interesting for right now. The next is the movie Hard 8, which I believe is actually also on Prime right now. That's Paul Thomas Anderson's first film that he made. I just rewatched Magnolia, and I forgot how incredible he really is, and so this one is much more lower budget, but it's incredibly character driven and definitely worth watching. The next film I'd recommend would be Compliance, and that I recommend it if you can handle watching a movie like that. So it's based on a true story. It's based on I think it's like a McDonald's, it's a fast food place, and how this guy would call up fast food restaurants and basically pretend he was a cop and get people to believe that one of the employees was actually stealing, and it turns into something that you never actually expect it's going to turn into, and it shows you how much people just listen to someone because they think that person is an authority and they don't actually think for themselves. So I would say that's a very upsetting movie to watch, and if you don't feel like you're in the right headspace to watch that right now, then maybe I might pass on that one. So but it is really, really good. The next one is called Her Smell, which you can also watch on HBO Go or HBO Now. It's something that sort of slipped through the cracks. It's with Elizabeth Moss, and I would say it was a little too long, and so I want to say maybe it was about 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe even a little bit more, and it's a movie about an aging punk rocker. which a movie about an aging punk rocker really shouldn't be well over 2 hours. So I felt like they probably could have cut about 30 minutes of it, but it is worth watching just for Elizabeth Moss's performance alone. It's also really, it's a chunked movie where you get 6 sections. There are very long scenes and you jump a few years in time for each scene. So it's an interesting setup, a little bit slow, but I would say once you hit that 2/3 mark, the film was amazing, and her performance throughout the entire film is just so good. I haven't seen Invisible Man yet, but I'm very excited to see it. My dad saw it and he said that she just steals the entire movie, that she is just incredible. So I am so excited to see that as well. Okay, the next movie I put on the list, the next 3 are all on Amazon Prime right now. So First Reformed with Ethan Hawke. You wouldn't necessarily think that a movie about a priest and climate change and eco-terrorism would all go together, but for some reason it does, and it's just one of the most well-written scripts from 2017 if you haven't seen it, because it was a film that did well, but I wouldn't say that everyone has seen this at this point. I talked to a lot of people who have never heard of that movie before. So this is by far one of Ethan Hawke's best performances that I've ever seen him give. It's so subtle, it's so nuanced, and it's definitely worth watching. The next one I would recommend is 8th Grade. So this is the one that was written by Bo Burnham, and it was just so much better than I expected. I didn't think that a male comedian would really be able to write an 8th grade girl so accurately, but I found myself relating to the character, and I did not expect it at all. It's a little bit lighter, so I thought, yeah, let's put a few lighter films because so many on this streaming service are pretty dark. But this is one that is funny and it's kind of lighthearted, but it still is so emotional and meaningful, and I really loved it. The next one would be The Florida Project, which is another movie with kids. And if you have not seen this one, so this takes place right outside of basically Disney World, so it's in Orlando, Florida. And if you've ever been to Orlando, you know that there's those kind of strip malls that are on I-4, and there are motels and a lot of kind of tourist traps that are set in there. So the movie takes place right there, where these kids don't really realize that they're living in a poorer area, but at the same time they have so much life and imagination, and it's a fun movie. It's upsetting at times. It's uplifting, and the kids in it are just so realistic, because I think they're not acting at all. They're just acting like themselves. They're acting like kids. So that movie was also a lot of fun. The next movie would be A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, and this was a mix between seeing something that was like, from Quentin Tarantino, is very stylized. It had elements of Robert Rodriguez in there as well. And so this is about a woman who is a vampire, and she starts having a connection with this guy and actually starts to like him, and it's very stylized. The story's not super heavy. There's not that much going on in terms of plot. It's not very plot driven, but it is so stylized. You love the characters, and you just love the gorgeous shots that you're looking at during the whole film. So we have 4 more, and then that'll be that for giving recommendations from Kanopy. So Take This Waltz is with Michelle Williams and Seth Rogen, and it's sort of on the, in the vein of Blue Valentine. So I feel like if you like that film, you'd probably like Take This Waltz. I know it was on Netflix for a long time, but it's about marriage, and it looks at marriage over a long period of time, and it's really good. Please forgive me for pronunciation for the next one. I'm clearly not French, and I've never taken a French class, but Vivre Sire is one of my favorite French films, and they have it on this streaming app. So this is about a woman who becomes a prostitute, and it is just so beautiful, so stylized. You are in the main character's head, and it's definitely worth watching. Another one worth watching from the French New Wave is this, Breathless, and that is on Kanopy as well. So I was even planning on rewatching it because I haven't seen it in a number of years, but it is the quintessential French New Wave movie. And then the last one, also French, from 1946, which I actually just watched on Sunday, was the version of Beauty and the Beast, and that was really beautiful. It was, what surprised me is that when I was a kid, I would watch this one movie with Susan Sarandon. It was The Beauty and the Beast, and I didn't realize that that movie was directly copying the 1946 version of Beauty and the Beast. It was exactly the same thing, down to the same exact shot. So basically my childhood got destroyed, but that's okay because I got to see the original movie. So those are the ones that I think are worth watching on the Kanopy app. If you guys have time and you're not sure what to watch, then I would definitely recommend any one of those movies. I think they're great. And make sure that you leave a comment down below so that we can all figure out what movie we would most want to watch. So once again, those are Jules and Jim, Life Itself, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Paradise Hills, Hunt for the Older People, and Force Majeure. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is safe. And I hope that you're just taking care of each other. So I will see you guys soon. Bye.